Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derbies and the 2016 Bash for Cash. Demo Derby Masters. Winter Slam 2016. Ultimate Derby and Blizzard Bash in Capital City Carnage. Syopa Racing and SyopaRacing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel at RecklessAbandonGear.com. And Derby Inc. Magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, welcome to episode number 162 of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. We've got Brian Nerat joining us here on the hotline. We've got Brian Tompkins joining us here in the studio. Fun show lined up for you tonight, talking with Brian about some of the ways that he's changing things up for 2017, talking about the aluminum bell housings. Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully everybody safely rang in 2017 as we watched 2016 go by the wayside. Great time over in the Chancellor Ballroom was had by all at the Crash Course New Year's Eve party. Brian was able to make it over despite all the odds working against him between sinus infections and traveling from Auburn. Did you come in on 5 and 20 or did you go 318?
We went 318.
On 5 and 20, in front of our studio, there was about a dozen state cops running a DWI checkpoint.
It was funny you say that because my wife was DD, and like I said, I didn't have much to drink, but she doesn't drink at all. So we left and we go home, and it's all back roads to my house. You know,
right.
like, everybody's takes back roads to their house. She gets home, she's like, I can't believe we didn't see any cops. I'm like, which we had actually saw one, but I'm like, dear, we went all back roads. I'm like, you go down 5 and 20, and I guarantee you, there's cops from here to Buffalo.
It was busy trying to keep everybody safe. So they're doing their job. If you did yours and you were responsible, you wouldn't have any problem one way or the other. But awesome time there. Looking forward to releasing the information about next year, letting everybody know where it's going to be so they can make some travel plans. Because we had a ton of people who weren't there that are already asking what day it's going to be. Safely assume it'll be on the 31st of December because that's typically
New Year's
Eve.
Generally.
But Jake Sherman donating the Lumina, that went home with Jamie Brown. Jim Rigoli donating the Crown Vic, and the Dodge truck that went complete with all the stuff to convert the Magnum motor over to a carbureted power plant. That went home with Andy Vona, the Crown Vic. Mike DeFrecia ended up with it. I don't remember what ticket was drawn, but I know that ended up in his camp, which better home could be had.
I was going to say that those guys do pretty good with those square Crown Vics.
We had a bumper that was we got that off of Mike Schroeder. That went home with Jamie Brown. The swap meet going to be March 4th. March 4th, yes. I keep thinking it's March 3rd. It coincides with Finger Lake Speed World at Finger Lakes Mall in Auburn. And I get the days jumbled. It's going to be Saturday the 4th from 9 to, I think it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. No feed event there. The Ellisons are putting that one on. They brought over a box full of ratchet straps and lights and stuff for the raffle table. So we wanted to make sure that we made mention of that. And then they've got their cleanup derby at Paradise Speedway as well. Same place in Geneva, right off of
Rumor
96.
has it, I haven't heard it from Wayne Jr. myself or Wayne Sr., but the rumor I heard was that Paradise has decided that they're going to move across the road and set up a strictly derby track.
Oh,
and that's where they're going to run derbies. And I heard the possibility of 3 standalone derbies there this year.
Wow.
Like I said, I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it out of anybody from the Ellison camp, but I don't remember who was telling me that, but somebody was telling me that was what they heard, which would be cool. I mean, it's,
definitely.
With the turnout they had last year for their end of the season show, I mean, definitely good things going on over there. So it's always good when you can get some, new good shows.
Aaron Bunce raffling off the 1975 Chrysler, and that also found a good home. Mike Osterhout won that, and then the 50-50 money went home with Dan O'Connell, which I wasn't even sure for definite if he was going to come because Kristen wasn't feeling good earlier in the week, so that certainly worked out well for him. Glad everybody could come and enjoy it. It was an awesome time. Thank you so much for the support. I mean Brad Tice, Jamie Amick, Dan Bolton. I'd love to run through the guest, the guest list.
Ronnie McClung,
Tyson, Ron McClung. He was set up with his diecast table. He threw that helmet down on the gift prize table. Dylan Lane
and crew. What was there, 6 or 8 from Nebraska?
It was 2, 4, 8.
8.
Yeah, I think it was 6. I don't know. There was a number of them.
Yeah.
But Dylan Lane won the RC car body.
Really?
The JMW. And he goes, I don't even have one. So we were talking about it. What I think is going to happen is that car's going to come to New York. I'm going to build it for him.
Send it back?
And then paint it up like Team Black and White's car.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he's just going to put it on the trophy shelf.
That's cool.
And the RC car raffle in full with the whole RC car kit, Ed Brewster put that up. HTRC from Ohio won it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They were wondering how that was all going to come together. I'm like, well, you've got plenty of cars. Do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
But those guys were there. It's good to see them. Good to hand out some hardware in the quick half-hour pre-show. Greatly appreciate that. I got to find some room in here in the studio to hang the photo collage from Jeremy Gully. We'll get that hung up here in the studio. It'll be nice to have that. But now we are firmly squaring away into 2017, and next order of business, of course, is going to be we got Winter Slam. There's some talks about some other trips in February. We've got Capital City Carnage right around the corner. Then we've got at the end of April, there's most likely going to be a trip to Ohio. We need to finalize that, and then in the middle of May, we're going to be going to Utah. At the end of it, we'll probably be going out to Bash for Cash. And then just like that, we're looking at the end of the school year and looking at the busy summer. So we've, if we could only find one to do in January, then we'd have one every month from now until the end of the year. Good thing you don't have anything going on.
Yeah, definitely.
But Brian Nerat joining us here on the hotline. Brian's released the new aluminum bell housing and restructuring things a little bit for 2017. Brian, I think it's cool just in some of the conversations that we had earlier today, what you guys are doing at turning Nerat Demo into a one-stop shop. You can pick up whatever you need in one fell swoop, and you know everything that you're picking up there is good quality stuff from good reputation vendors.
Right. We're working on, hand selecting different products that we'd want to carry, and, whatever products that we're carrying, we want them to have it make sense, that fits our the way we have everything structured here with people answering the phone and people here all day long. And that's sometimes, I'm not sure if everyone's aware that we're here all day doing this stuff all day. I'm not sure how many people are actually doing that, with in the grand scheme of all the vendors. I know there's one or two out there that I know of, and then I'm not sure after that.
Right. The neat thing is right now, in all seriousness, you guys have been one of the originals and came out of the blocks firing with the sliding drive shaft, and then from there it went into the UltraBell, and now it's everything across the board that you need to outfit a derby car. What you guys don't make, you've been able to partner with. I know one of the big ones was getting together with Big Rocks. Now you're going to be able to have mufflers available. So if somebody happens to just be coming up looking for a shifter and a slider, in the back of their mind, if they need mufflers, that impulse buy is right there. They don't have to go any further.
Right. Yeah, we'll be doing headers. We'll be doing some accessories for the headers also. And then hopefully with every product that we take on, we want to maybe put our spin to it and say, okay, is this product lacking anything? And then maybe, talking with the people that if we take on and rep someone else's product, that we don't want to step on any toes. And if we just assume that, or if we buy something from someone and remarket it, do we need to do anything to it? Do we need to add any bells and whistles to it to make it, a little more attractive? It's always an option, or at least discuss with the people who are selling us the stuff.
So you're willing to put your eyes as an engineer fabricator on an item and tell the original manufacturer, look, this is kind of what we want to do in order to make it better. And so basically you're offering analysis and potential upgrades to somebody's product that they may never even thought about, just in the eyes of benefiting the community.
Sure, and that holds true with some of the stuff that we've had some vendors come to us and say, can you make this? And we say, okay, that fits our scope of what we can do. But I think, consider maybe changing this or moving this or doing this, and then it's ultimately up to them how they want to do it. But, if we can add some value to it and, it necessarily cost anything extra, and it's just a bonus. We always offer our advice, and if it's taken, that's fine, and if not, that's fine too. And that seems to have been working very well. We give the input we can, based on our experience and our years of seeing this stuff, every weekend.
Years. Years is an understatement.
For sure.
Yes, years, and lots of phone calls and lots of phone conversations and on and on. Absolutely.
Is the fabrication shop at this point solely Demolition Derby, or you're still doing stuff for contracts outside of that?
No, we're doing some contract machining, and we're doing some other industrial stuff. And that's kind of, we have one or two customers that are in the energy industry, and that's soft right now. If you're trying to design things that recuperate energy, for what the energy is costing right now, that's not really going that well, but that'll turn around at some point, and there's some different people that we deal with that are okay, but nothing to write home about. But it's we try not to put too many eggs in one basket, no matter what it is.
Yeah, you have no choice.
No. So if we see certain things falling off, we might go in certain areas and try to gain some of that back with other people or whatever we have to do, to make sure that we're always well-rounded, and that's pretty important because, you just never know.
How's the rock crawler community these days?
We haven't really tapped that market as much as we should have, and we've been talking about maybe going to Pirate 4x4 and putting some ads out there and doing some different stuff, and, one of the main rock crawling people, and just trying to maybe explore that, and that may be something that can be dealt with and done. I'm not sure how they handle their, I don't know if it's like a derby where you have a row of vendors. I don't think it is, but it'd be interesting to see how they handle it.
Right. Be interesting.
Possibly, put an addition to that, where you could add some value. You never know.
Be a lot of fun to start seeing that Nerat logo on all the rock crawlers and stuff too.
Yeah, those things are pretty nasty too. Brian, where did the idea come when you first made your first slider? Did you come up with that kind of on your own, or did somebody come to you with the idea and then you went from there, or where originally did that come from?
The originals, I believe, were still going around as squares, and I didn't like squares at all. And I saw a lot of square failures, and I said to myself, this is a nice idea, but I think it needs to be splined. So I went down the spline road, I went down the balance road, changed some of the connection points that some people were doing. There were a few people that were out there already doing it, but they had it under their car, and it was a top secret that nobody could know about. So it was really not available to the general public. If somebody wanted to go buy one, they weren't out there.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it was kind of, we took that one design, and I was able to run it for a year in my cars. And before camera phones and everything else were around, I could do that. And the only people that were going to see it were the people who were inspecting your vehicle, but all they could do was look at it. They wouldn't take a picture.
Yep.
Right.
So there wasn't any of that. So I had a whole year or whatever pretty much to decide, do I need to tweak it? Do I need to do anything? And once we did it that route and went on down that direction, then it was available out there for the public to buy.
Mm-hmm.
I think I even started by I didn't have enough to vend. I think I put one or two on Raptor Fab David Bryan's table.
Nice.
Because I just didn't have, I was running, I was doing everything, and I'm like, can you sell these for me? And, it took off from there. And then once that started to take a foothold, then I had enough to put my own table out, and, there was only a couple vendors at that point anyway.
Yeah.
Touch on that a little bit, because the atmosphere right now is a far cry different from where you where you're at in that conversation you just had about having the pieces on Dave Bryant's table.
Sure.
It's a lot different now. There's a lot of vendors, some of them doing it the right way, some of them not. We've had that conversation privately a number of times, Brian, but more to the fact of, keeping quality stuff out there for people to get their hands on. What's your take on the landscape right now from the vendor side of things? Not even getting into the Demolition Derby build aspect, just from the vendor's point of view.
Yeah, there's an awful lot to choose from, that's for sure. There's no doubt about it. And, I guess the only thing as far as what we can do is we can just keep putting that same effort out every time we make something and keep that standard where we feel it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed, do we come out with a shifter that's cheaper? Do we come out with a gas pedal that's cheaper? Can we? What's going to sacrifice if we do that? If we do it, are we going to have trouble here? Is it, do we want to get that price point down where we can be in the lower part of the price point? I don't know if we can, but we've certainly discussed it. We've talked about it, and it's one of those things. I think you can go either way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When someone buys something from us, they're expecting it to be at a certain level, and it costs money. It just does. There's just no other way around it. As far as the vendors, we do our best we can. We come up with our website last year, and I think that holds a lot of information. I think it has a lot of potential. We want to start getting out there. We want to have more educational, more tutorial type links to videos that say this is how you do something. This is what we don't want you to do, and then you could apply that to anybody's product you want it to. But we're going to flavor it towards our stuff. But certainly somebody could obviously learn.
Right.
I still say there's a value add when you go to these big shows. I mean, some of the vendors, we should be putting on seminars. Mm-hmm. It's no different than any of these national machine shows that are out there in Chicago. You have symposiums on what you should be doing and how to do it and what's the latest technology and what are you seeing. And, if there'd be enough time and enough organization, I'd like to see that.
I think that's a great move. I mean, there's certainly time in the course of the day at some of these big events like Bash for Cash. You see vendors rows always busy, Brian. I mean, we've been up and down through there. We've been camped out with Team Big Rock for the last 2 years, and it's always busy up and down through there. Yeah,
there's always people around for sure.
Right. I think there's a lot to say about education. I think if the purchaser is educated as to how we see it and how we think it should work and how we think it should be, I think once they're educated as to make a good decision, I think the sales just come along. But it's to get everybody up to speed, and that's difficult.
Also, is there still some weight carried in the phrase "you get what you pay for"?
I think so. We had a guy call here before Christmas. He was looking for a transmission brace, and I think he asked me on the phone 3 times, "You have it on your shelf?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I can't get a hold of somebody else, or I can't, they're not answering their phone." I said, "We're here, but keep in mind that the people that are here and answering the phone, there's a cost to that." Mm-hmm. Some of the other guys they're doing their full-time job, and then they can get to it when they get to it. And we're here every day.
Right.
There's a cost, day in and day out. There's a cost to that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we can produce enough product and produce enough sales to have that all come around.
That's the key.
There is I believe you're right. Get what you pay for, and I mean if we have a way that we can make it cheaper, we're always open for that. There's just you're at a wall, and to really try to, I think you're doing everyone, or at least some of a disservice by trying to cheapen it up. We want to make sure that they get the right product that's going to work,
And that's the thing. I mean, so many of these parts that guys like you put out, if you're going to get the high quality, you have to take the time to R&D it. You have to take the time to, then you got to test it. And even if it's just running it on your own stuff, you're still putting in the time. And and you can't just throw something together and spray bomb it and sell it. I mean, it has to be a nice, well put together product, or it's not worth doing. I mean, you can't half-ass stuff and sell it.
Well, here's a great example for Brian. Right, you have a really nice shifter.
I do.
You finally have a nice shifter.
I do.
You couldn't build that. You could take it apart and see how it was put together, and you could rough cut something that works similarly, but it's not going to be the shifter that you got.
No, absolutely not.
No, I mean, you can look at where we countersink. There's a shoulder bolt that holds that main shifter handle on, and we counterbore that square handle to make sure that shoulder bolt always tightens up, and then the handle doesn't tighten up with it. I mean, there's a lot of little things that happen in that whole process. And we're not afraid if we see something that isn't right. We're not afraid to just throw it out. Mm-hmm. And I know you could just push that through and nobody would see that, but if we are not afraid to throw something out if it's not right.
Yep.
It's just the way it is.
On the topic of this, affordability and price points and things of that nature, and also looking at what Demolition Derby's doing right now, trending away from some of that heavy build and going back so much not towards a stock build, but limited welds or more economy style builds. We've seen the aluminum UltraBell come out, the aluminum bell housing that was released. Where did the decision to release that come into play, given where the Derby landscape is?
Well, we've had that for 5 or 6 years now, that aluminum version. Toby Hiley ran that maybe 5 or 6 years ago at one of the bashes, and I think back at that point, one of the rules, we were just going around the rules, and and I was asked if I could make one out of aluminum, and I'm like, sure, and I just did it, and I never gave it another thought, because to me, in my mind, and I sometimes I get a little narrow, I thought, why would anyone want to buy an aluminum after the steel one? Mm-hmm. And I never gave it a second thought. And now some of the rules are starting to come back maybe a little bit, no steel bell, but they're accepting of this aluminum version instead of the JW version. And we've had some promoters make comments like the JW has a softer contour than this 90-degree straight fabricated bell housing, and that's true, but you still have to buy an aftermarket torque converter to go into the JW, which to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you already have the converter, great, but if you don't, then you have to buy the JW, and then you have to buy a converter after that. So that to me didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Right.
So we felt that we would put it out there, and then anybody that would want it at least has the option to buy that and at least follow down that path of aluminum bell is okay, because the Chevy bell housing transmissions are not getting any easier to find.
No.
It'll be the 74 bumper, of the future. It's at the rate they're breaking and cracking and everything else. At this point, it's probably the cheapest way to put your transmission back in your car and get it back on the track if you do crack it up around the engine and if you do crack your bell housing off.
Yep, for sure.
You ever break a bell housing?
No. We don't. The way we've always built cars, it's, the car bends before it gets to where it'll break the tranny.
You never had anything. You broke backsides of the transmission, though. You had the saddle broke on one of your Imperials. On the drive shaft, didn't it?
No.
On the tail shaft?
I broke a drive shaft once because it was on me. The guy put a different rear end in it when I got it, and the purchase had rotted and it twisted.
Oh. And
it broke there. That was on me. I mean, I shouldn't have trusted him, so that was on me. But no, we were actually talking about that the other day. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has taken people out that hasn't taken me out. I think I've broke 2 drive shafts, maybe 3, in all the years I've driven. But usually it's usually it's the front end of my car that's in the air and not the back. And it's when you use the back end of it, that's when you get the funky rear end bending. And I've not done that. I had a Buick Electra that I ran, and I knocked the dry shaft out of that. That was because I got the back end started bending, and I hit somebody real fast backwards, and I went right over the top and ended up hitting the actual rear end. I hit the pumpkin with that, and it broke the dry shaft. But other than that, I haven't broke many. But like I said, I always go forward. So, but no, I've never broke. I've burned up some trannies. I never broke one though.
Interesting.
Yep.
I always figured that you'd be in that.
And then you'll get somebody that can't keep one in a car.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So
we've certainly come across that.
Yeah, but no, that's one of the things. I mean, I think it. I want to get it. I would like to get a slider just because it's so much easier than building drive shafts. A few bolts here, a few bolts there. But our head inspector for our local fair, who's not here tonight, said as long as he's inspecting, we won't have slider drive shafts. So I probably won't be buying a slider anytime soon. But I love the idea. It's so much easier to just It fits, you get one for the kind of car you're going to run, and then it slides back and forth. But
right, yeah, we've upgraded that tube also. We went to a chrome moly tube on it.
Oh, no kidding.
I don't think we've made any big splash about it. We just did it, and I don't even think we've even announced it or even said anything. I think we've ran in the entire 2016. Anything that was purchased was a 4130 chrome moly tube on it.
Wow.
We just upgraded. It's double or almost triple the price of the other one. But we had real good luck with that. We didn't see any failures at all.
Yeah, I was going to say
that new tube, but
that would make for a really, really strong dry shaft.
Yeah. We actually have a video of a twist test machine actually twisting the old version and twisting the new version. And again, there's I wanted to see it. Show me.
Yep.
Show me it twisting. Show me it's stronger. Don't tell me it's stronger.
Yep.
And we've got the video around here somewhere, but it's kind of interesting. It's a big old machine, and it just keeps going until something breaks.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen those before with different stuff. They're a really cool machine. Yeah, that would be a neat video to see. That'd be something neat to have on your website right there. That would be something that would be very cool.
Right. Right. Well, I thought about doing them all. Okay, let's do them all. Let's do A to Z. Let's put them all out there and let's see what happens. But
that'd be cool.
I didn't know if I should get into that, and I thought, well, I'll just we know what we know on ours, and go from there.
Yep.
I do want to see that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that twist test. That'd be very cool.
It would be interesting. Like I said, we wanted to start. As we become more comfortable with our website, I think we want to start, like I said, putting more instructional videos. If it's how to mount a bell housing, or how to even install a drive shaft, or how not to remove a drive shaft. So many times I see chisels and screwdrivers going through these two round flanges to take them apart, and it creates a lot of problems, when you go to put it back on again, and you've got all these big jagged edges and burrs and stuff that really throw everything off.
Yep.
And you just, you hit that certain RPM, and it's just not a good situation. So there's a lot of education I think we could do there, and you could, and anybody could apply that to anything.
Yep, for sure.
Just some basics, just some basic stuff that if people are unsure, if you're young enough and you haven't been around it enough, you want to be able to have as many resources as you can.
Absolutely.
So Brian, did you ever think when you started
come up with a C-clip, or we're coming out with a C-clip eliminator? Actually, it's like to take a GM C-clip axle and turn it into a bolt-in.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's nothing too exciting, but it's just. And some people have said, we did that 10 years ago, but, again, doing that and having somebody available to
mass produce it
and have it available where you can just click it and add it to cart is a little different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that would help a lot of guys out. 'Cause, I mean, there's, the bolted axles are obviously so much more popular right now. I mean, if you could just eliminate the C-clip, I mean, the other axles are going to be, I would think comparable in quality. Why not? Get what you have and do that. I mean, that's Chrysler has some. I think it's 9.25 axles or something. They're big, thick axles, but I think they're a C-clip.
Yeah.
And that's, I'd like a thicker axle, but, with a C-clip, you can't run. I have ran those, but, I mean, you're not going to take one of those to Blizzard Bash or Bash for Cash. I mean, obviously, you're going to go with something good, but,
No.
I mean.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's not to replace that. It's to try to, so you don't have to spend the $200 for a pair of bolt-in axles because somebody has it in their rules. You can't, exceed that size or diameter or spline count or whatever the situation is on anyone's particular rules. But no question.
Yeah.
Question about it. It's just trying to, somebody's got a wagon rear end laying around, they can pull the axles out and use them.
And that's the thing. I mean, that's, we've talked about that with cars, but I mean, how, when most people started, Chrysler Shockers, that was, they were tough. Well, then they started going, well, geez, these Chevys, they're pretty tough. And, how it's gone down the line from cars and what's popular and getting, those cars are all getting hard to find. So now you're seeing guys running cars that they looked over 10 years ago. Well, geez, let's try this, LTDs and, Mercuries and stuff like that. And that's
Cadillacs.
Cadillacs. That's what's going to happen with parts. I mean, we're going to sooner or later you're going to run out of bolt-in axles. You're going to run out of stuff like that, and you got to, in order to continue derbying, you got to make the other stuff work. And a part like that it's definitely going to help out.
Some of the conversation we had tonight is talking about how making what you've already got work or last. Mm-hmm. And that's what this whole thing with the finding a way to repurpose the C-clip axle so that it's usable again. Now the piles of those, they're still worth. Now they're going to be worth something. The bell housings. Yep. Because eventually you're going to run out of bell housings in some way, shape, or form. Yep. So I'd like, it's not so much making Derby different or tougher. It's just making it kind of more affordable so that it stays around a little bit longer. It's all going the right direction, Brian.
Absolutely.
Right. And when I used to haul cars, back in maybe around 2000 area, 2002, and we counted one year. I brought over 100 cars out of Texas and New Mexico back here.
Wow.
To Wisconsin, and there wasn't any Cadillacs.
Right.
Zero. I mean, it was all wagons, all Chevy sedans, and maybe a couple of Buicks and maybe a couple Oldsmobile, and all the rest. I'd walk right over a Caddy.
That's insane.
I'd never even look at it.
It was all. We've kind of chronicled it.
Right. If I found a yard that had 6, 8, 10, I mean, we'd get a transporter in there and we'd transport them out. And I was finding some great deals on transporters where they were hauling down into Mexico, and then they'd turn around, they'd shut their radios off, and they'd say, "Where are we going?" And they would go and load up and bring them back.
Wow,
that's so cool.
We did what we could, We were, saved a lot of them from the crusher. They weren't, they were going away, and there was no doubt about it. And plenty of time, they'd say, "Well, we're crushing those 500 cars out, so, you want them, you better get them now." Yep. And that's how it always was down there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But like I said, you'd walk over, what you wouldn't think of it, and now pretty soon it becomes popular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the two-door GM gave way to the wagon, right? And then the wagon gave way to the Riviera. Now the Riviera is gone, and
Cadillac.
It's all Cadillac, and we're starting to see a little bit more of that metric, the later Cadillac stuff, holding a little bit of water. And
just imagine the money you'd have sitting right now if you had all those cars back. With the prices cars are nowadays, holy cow!
I sometimes try to, and I try to think, okay, let's see, I'd have to have a building, and it'd have to be climate controlled, probably heated floor.
Yep.
And I keep going on and thinking, okay, where would I stack them so they'd be out of the weather? Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, you'd almost have to have a place down south or something. It'd be pretty tough to try to figure out how could you carry that car for 10 years without anybody talking you into selling them.
No kidding.
You just have to buy a scrapyard first, and then just pick what you want in it. Easy. Yeah. That's how easy it is, right?
Uh-huh. When the price is down, it's easy.
I actually bought 100 acres in Alabama, and I was going to put all kinds of cars there. I thought 150 cars, who cares? I'll just put them there. And the friends of mine down there said, you can't do it. And I said, why not? They said they will clean you out. They don't need titles. The people that have the salvage yards down there, they could care less if the stuff is stolen. Bring them on in. Show us the iron. They get paid cash. It's done. Crush it. Gone.
Wow.
Really?
Yep.
That's insane.
No, they couldn't care less if it's got a title. They couldn't care less. They bring them on in. Let's go. So that kind of took care of that.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Man, you don't want to mess with that at all.
Nope.
Well, go back down there and have them all gone.
Yeah, that's no good. And then it turns out they got crushed anyway.
Yeah, no kidding.
Might better just have them sitting outside in the cold at your house in Wisconsin.
No kidding.
I guess.
No kidding.
Right.
So in terms of this year, in vending and going out to some of these shows, you've talked about having a little bit of a stock and trying to get into some of the accessories and building the things online. What about when you're at the shows, and where can we expect to run into you?
Well, it looks like it's a pretty full springtime, which it typically always is. It seems like you can't hit enough of them in the springtime, and then it seems like it tapers off at about Mayhem. Mm-hmm. But we're talking Redneck Rumble, that's in Sturgis, Kentucky.
Yep.
And probably going to be at Bluegrass Bash in Freedom Hall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Capital Carnage in Topeka.
Yep.
And Urban Destruction, maybe. That's kind of a maybe. And then Spring X.
Right.
Bash for Cash. And Mayhem. And then Blizzard Bash, which is a little bit off yet, but...
It's never too early to plan.
Nope.
No. Well, you have to be on your A game in the springtime, because the minute you come back, if you had a successful show, that's great, but that means your trailer's been depleted, and you got to really get after it.
Right.
And there's not a lot of time to think about a whole lot. Be ready to go.
Now, like this time of the year, are you guys? Are you going full tilt, getting your stock all built back up so you can, so you're ready for the spring? Is that what you're working on now at the shop, or?
Yeah, we're building stock right now, and there's a few orders that are starting to trickle in, and but we are building stock. We're doing a lot of equipment maintenance right now, though. When we can, if we can take down a machine to do a PM on it, we'll certainly have that done. Have the factory come in, whoever's machine it is, and actually have it serviced and taken care of, and then now's the time to do it. In the springtime, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
you can't do anything. So, yeah, we'll keep everything running. We keep making everything, no matter what it is. And we just keep certain times of the year, like body spacers, are popular this time of year.
Yep.
Then those start to taper off after all the builds are done.
Yep.
But there's certain times of the year for certain products.
Do you get thinned out a lot with the Christmas rush?
We saw a little bit more. We saw a little bit more this year. Maybe it's because of the website. Not really sure, but we had a little bit of Christmas rush.
That's cool.
There was a few pretty tight though, where we had to give some different shipping options to different people because they were, right at the last minute ordering them, and it's not beyond us to go drive down to UPS at 8 at night to go deliver something, but after that, it's kind of one of those things where you have to tell somebody, you're 3 days away, and this is, you're only 2 days away from, Christmas Eve. What do you?
Yeah.
How bad do you want it?
Oh yeah.
You want a photo under the tree, or do you want the real thing, or what do you want to do? At least give them an option anyway. And if they say no, I'm good. Just send it out, and it'll get here when it gets here. We just want to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Very cool.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas is a tough one anyway.
Oh yeah.
Especially in some of these cases, you could even be taking an order from somebody who doesn't know what they're trying to order.
Yeah.
I'm
sure.
That's certainly well within reason that I'm trying to order a transmission cradle. or an engine brace. They don't know what they're asking for. So
Absolutely.
That's what happened to Brian's house.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely, that's it too, and especially if somebody wants to have it next day aired. I mean, to me, I'm triple checking the order to make sure it's clear what they really want, because we start air freighting stuff out, then it can be I didn't order that. That's not what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone's looking at each other saying, who's paying the air freight?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
So we make sure that when those types of orders come in, that there plenty of questions are asked.
Well, how late are you working tonight? Are the machines still going in the background?
No, I was doing something yesterday, and I took a corner too quick, and I was taking my Bobcat somewhere, and I flipped the Bobcat off the trailer, snapped the chains, and put the Bobcat into the ditch upside down.
Ooh.
And so I had to deal with that with the sheriff's department, and that was yesterday. So now today I kind of got it back, and nothing happened to it at all. So I got it back today, and I put it all back together, and the attachment and stuff that flew off it. So yesterday was kind of a mess. Maybe somebody telling me I shouldn't be working on New Year's Day.
Right.
So that's kind of what happened. Yeah, that wasn't really. I had to call Jason and have him come over with his Bobcat and flip me back over right side up.
I just figured Jason would just grab onto the thing and tilt it back up by hand. He's
hand.
Not a small guy.
Just push it back.
Oh well,
over.
this thing was. Well, they had to stop traffic in order for us to do that, so it really wasn't.
Nice.
It really wasn't real too pleasant to deal with, but I didn't get any tickets out of the deal. I probably should have had about 4 of them written, but
Pays to be.
We're pretty much going. I would say at least 6 days a week.
Wow.
Jeez.
Right. It doesn't take long. I mean, you get a good run of parts. Whether you're doing it, whether it's your derby stuff or whatever. You keep everything running. It's the way it's got to be for a while.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that you had such trouble on New Year's Day, man. That's rough with the.
Well, I don't drink. I don't. So it's not really like I went and had too much fun the night before. So it's just like it's a Sunday. The Sunday afternoon. That's all it really was.
Right. Maybe you should have you should have been relaxing and watching football or something.
Well, we were going to watch the Packers at the end of the night, but that was part of the plan. But I think Jason was making jokes, asking me if I was going to still go up and do what I was going to do, doing some logging and stuff. And I said, no, I'm going home. I've had enough. I'm going to go sit in my chair.
Had enough fun for the day.
Lots enough.
With the Packers win, it sets up a little bit of a rivalry here.
Giants-Packers this weekend.
Yeah, right. Well, the Packers, the last time I went to a Packer-Giant playoff game, it didn't turn out too good for the Packers. I think that was when
2007
was playing.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was great for the Giants.
No, Giants are a good cold weather team.
Yeah, it doesn't
bother.
It's
not like Miami. It's not like you're going to play a Tampa Bay or Miami or whatever, a nice southern team that's not going to want to deal with the cold. Giants are right there.
Yeah. I don't care who goes from the NFC as long as it's not Dallas. That's my only wish, is it's not the Dallas Cowboys.
All those Bills fans at home watching are going to really enjoy the Dallas New England Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. It looks pretty well written down, doesn't it?
I'll tell you what. If Carr hadn't got hurt for the Raiders, I think the Raiders would have been a tough go for New England.
Well, look at all the injuries. Carr went down. Tannehill went down.
Well, how about Carr goes down, and then this week his backup goes down? They're down to the third string quarterback going into the playoffs. How do you think that makes them feel?
Right. Or even what was the score when Carr went down? Weren't they in the high 30s?
Yeah, they were up. Way up. Yeah.
Right? So then everyone should be looking at that going, well, why was he out there?
Yeah. Oh.
Easy to second guess, but I mean, at some point,
no doubt.
He's getting enough practice.
No doubt. Actually, friends of mine went to the Green Bay Giants game this year. two guys I work with and their wives drove out because everybody wants to go to Lambeau Field. That's like Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
And so they drove out and went to the game. They got there like a day or two early and rented a house or whatever and went for the tour and the whole 9 yards. And they said it was really, really cool out there. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, I know a guy that brings this beer that's got cows on it, and it's really good, which is Jason Brodzinski. But Brian, not being a drinker, he probably wouldn't know the beer, but it's a Wisconsin beer, so it was good. I told them about that when they went out and they found it. I can't remember what the name of it is, but they said they had a really good time.
From New York all the way out.
What's that?
They drove from New York to Green Bay.
Yes, sir. Yep. They wanted to take a road trip, so they went out there.
24 hours later.
I can't remember how many hours they made it in. It's not really that bad because it's not far. It's not all that much farther past like Chicago. And
did they go down around the lakes or did they go through Canada?
Down around.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
down
that bad.
Down around, and it's a couple hours from Chicago, maybe 2.5 or so.
Yeah, so I bet you it's probably about 14 hours for us. Because I know the year we went to Metal Mayhem, we got there. That was when it was still in Pecatonica, and that's an hour past Chicago. So we did that in like 12 hours, 11 hours, something like that. So it wasn't too bad.
Sure.
On the topic of road trips gone bad, did you follow along with Brandon Tyson as he tried to make it back to Iowa?
Yeah, I see they had a CV joint go in the Suburban. Did they get it fixed?
It wasn't a CV joint. He got an estimate to fix it at a repair shop for $1,500. So he went and he bought the parts and the tools at a local Napa and fixed it on the side of the road. And it was something in the front end. It wasn't the CV. It was like I think if I remember right, it was like a wheel bearing or something.
Wow.
Yeah. Rough trip.
Wow. Hopefully he was feeling good when he was fixing it.
I doubt that, but who knows? He drove almost all the way out here.
We were coming back from Sturgis, Kentucky last fall, a few months ago, on their fall show, and my girlfriend was following us with a car we just bought down at Waseca Ford, and one of the wheels flew off my trailer and hit the car.
Wow.
He was driving, so you just and it came off, the whole drum and everything. I mean, the nut and everything was still on there, and it just flew off and hit the car. So, that stuff, the more you're out there, I guess, the more odds that are building that something could happen. But
that's crazy.
Go out there and, drove home on 5 wheels.
Wow.
Well, hopefully.
It's on the way home a little lighter.
Yeah.
On that note, though, I know with the schedule that you mapped out just from now until we get to Metal Mayhem, you're going to be busy. You're going to be out there a lot. I hope all your travels go safe. We're pretty close to wrapping up here, Brian. Thank you for coming on the show and talking about
that website out there. It's neratdemo.com.
Neratdemo.com. Jump on there, check it out. I mean, you can easily come across all that stuff if you just by punching in Nerat Demo in Google. It's going to bring you right there. There's tons of stuff. Go check out the product line. It's all been vetted, investigated, checked out, tested. You name it, it's been done. And those chromoly tubes for the drive shaft now been added for all of 2016, and no problems developed there. Options now for your bell housings if you want steel or aluminum. And you can get mufflers there. Just start loading up that cart and head to the checkout. You'll be well on your way. And if you don't want to do it online, there's plenty of places to run into Brian in the first half of this season. So
big white trailer.
Yeah, just look for the trailer. It's the one that's got everybody standing around it.
Usually, yeah.
Well, Brian, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll touch base here in a couple weeks and see where things are and how your trips down into Kentucky go.
Good. I appreciate it.
You bet, Brian. We'll see you later.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
See you guys.
There goes
Bye.
Brian Nerat, making Nerat Demo a one-stop shop. And I like the idea, man. Walmart works for a reason, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Battery died.
Just in time.
Just watching the clock.
Almost like you planned it, Chris.
We know our limits.
You are a pro.
We know our limits-ish, I think is a better way to say it. Todd Height weighed in. He is, now I've blanked on his name, the Packers tight end coach is from Ilion. Brian Angelicio, maybe?
Cool.
And Todd knows him.
Cool.
They've been buddies for a long time. And Todd is a Vikings fan, just like Darren Brown.
So he's watching the Giants play in the playoffs this week.
I think he's watching a lot of people play in the playoffs
And
this
none of
week.
them have purple on.
None of them are wearing purple.
I was just going to ask you something and my mind went blank. Oh,
Yes.
as you start to go over the rundown for Capital City Carnage, which you're going to do right now as I bring that up, right?
Yeah. We got 10 minutes left to hit all of our ads. Yep.
What classes are going to be at Capital City Carnage?
What classes are
Yeah.
going to be? Why? What,
I just want because the main class is the limited weld this year, right? It's not
Right.
the full Blizzard Bash build from years past or from last year. I guess it can't be years past. This is only the second one, but it's the semi-weld, the class that Ben and Decker are running. And then there's Compact and Youth.
compact Power Wheels. There's a modified class,
Okay.
and then there's the. I'm just looking at the agenda right now, and then there's that the extreme class.
Yep,
They've
which is
got the two
Josh and
seats.
Ben. Okay.
So I don't know if they've decided to interchange modified for some reason. We got to get Sam on again here.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to talk to Sam again. Did you see the pictures of him and his boy this weekend?
In Vegas?
Before Vegas, when they went to watch Ohio State play, and Sam was decked out in full Ohio State garb. Oh yeah, he had the Ohio State hat, Ohio State shirt. Oh yeah, I can't wait to talk to Sam. Do a little because I am, the resident ball buster. So yeah,
It's a hat you volunteer to wear regularly.
I do,
Yes.
and I'm good with it.
You do.
So
You
I
do.
gotta get a little poke in there, but yeah, him and his son went out and watched Ohio State play, and then I did see they stopped it. Oh, geez, I'm still getting caught up on sleep. First day back to work today was rough, but they stopped in Vegas and they were playing golf last night, so looked like a cool father-son trip.
Yeah, I saw the picture when I believe they're at the Hoover Dam.
Yep.
And that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
I always wanted to see that. It's one of the few things we haven't been able to find. It's a demolition derby adjacent to the Hoover Dam.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That was-
Or even on the Hoover Dam. You get pushed over the wall there, it's a long way to the bottom.
Yeah, I get queasy going down 15
Yeah.
by the big dam. I don't even know what city
Yeah, I know what you're talking
but
about.
the one, and then going over here I was telling Dylan and Rachel about some of the history in Seneca Falls and Waterloo. And Sunday, middle of the day, they walked down to Van Cleef Lake,
Yep.
which is down here at the end of Fall Street. They looked at the church. They checked out the Women's Rights Museum and took in some of the history. Rachel's mom is It's a Wonderful Life fan.
Oh, cool.
So they got to flavor some of the history of that. And I was telling them about the locks and how the canal was dug to basically it just mowed right over what used to be downtown Seneca Falls over the flats. And I guess Rachel's big into scuba.
Oh, really?
And I mean, I've never seen a scuba diver in Van Cleef Lake, but it'd be cool to get down into the water in there and see some of the ruins that are left down in the bottom of all that. But that drop at the locks here in Seneca Falls, when you look down, my kid was running back and forth on that bridge, and I physically couldn't go get him because I couldn't. I was on my hands and knees crawling. I can't handle heights at all.
Do you remember? Probably not, because I'm a bit older than you. But
By a
they used to drain the canal in the winter, and you drive over and see the stuff in the bottom. That used to be so cool.
My dad worked in one of the drainings in Waterloo when they drained.
Oh, really?
When they drained that lock, and I remember.
Yep, I remember when they fixed it
Boy, that was
30 years ago.
87 maybe. It
Yep.
was right. It was right about the same time that I went to my first derby.
Yeah, who won that?
At that point, I'm pretty sure it was a Benjamin.
Yeah,
I think it was Harold.
I'd have to bet.
I saw Mark. Good to see Mark. Always
Yep,
good to
got
see
Tom
Mark.
Mark. I was standing there. He walked right by me, and he was on his way to a poker game. So he had something else on his mind. So
They
he went
ended up
over.
playing 2 games. They played 2 games of poker over there. It was-
I think 3.
Oh, did they get
I think
3?
they ended up 3. Then he come walking by, and I said, "What? You can't say hi to me?" "Oh, Jesus, I didn't see you." And I said, "I know you were all hot and bothered on your poker game. I
Had nothing to
understand."
do. Had nothing to do with the poker game.
Yeah,
It had zero to do with the poker game. It had to do with the fact you were wearing a shirt with a collar.
I had a shirt with a collar.
Very
Few people
strange.
looked at me weird when I walked in like that. I was like,
Like, you are overdressed, sir. I
I
don't know
was-
what party you came to, but this is not it.
and it was funny too because you and Josh had your crash course polos on. I told my wife, I'm like, I was going to wear that. And she's like, well, why didn't you? I'm like, I went to the wedding. She's like, that's not a wedding shirt. And I'm like, it is for me, but
Right.
it is what it is.
When I look back at the video from the awards, and we got so busy with people coming in and checking them in and getting their bracelets and their tickets and with the car raffle and getting apparel and stuff set out. I had all these plans where I was going to fix my hair. I was going to tuck my shirt in so I looked respectable. Nah, it's just hanging out loose. And it was
Did you have a hat on? I don't remember.
No.
You went all night without a hat.
Yeah, it was weird.
What was-
I had a bunch of people come up to me and, like, halfway through the night and said, I haven't seen you. I'm like, I've been here all night. Well, there's no hat.
Yeah.
Yes. We
uh,
have a ton of new Reckless Abandon hats that are left over. We have Crash Course New Year's T-shirts that are left over that have the New Year's Bash logo on them. Those will be available in 364 days as well, if anybody does want to come and pick one up in person. But we got the No One Likes a Coward shirt. Most of those are done and available. We do have a selection of those that are still up there getting printed because the screen moved and it ruined a bunch of the shirts. So we got to get those reprinted. A bunch of the Sandbagger shirts and the Sun Never Sets on the Smashed Empire shirts were also available. It was cool. John King. I was surprised to see John King was there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You sold out of Josh Shecker shirts, right?
I didn't sell a one.
Really?
I didn't sell a single Josh Decker shirt. There was two of them that were bought online, and beyond that, none have sold. I gave him his hoodie, and I gave him two smalls for his kids, and he said thank you, and walked away and left them sitting unattended, just on a pile of boxes. So I gathered them up and brought them over to Katie, and Katie said, "Why are you giving me these?"
Sorry, Josh.
And so she tucked them underneath a chair, and from there, I don't know what happened. If
I didn't even see Josh that much. Like I said, I got there late, and
he spent all his time trying to collect Tommy Dowd's autographs. He didn't see anybody.
Tommy Dowd was there representing for the first time.
And Mike Ernst.
Yep,
Mike,
that was
traveled
cool.
together.
But we were out. I was watching, kind of helping Mike load his car, and I walked in, and I saw Josh on the way. He's like, "I lost a bet. I didn't think you were gonna show up." I'm like, "Why wouldn't I show up?" I said, "I'm here." And then I saw him and Katie a little later, and then they were gone. Excuse me. I knew Katie hadn't been feeling well, so I don't know if she was back 100% or not. By the time the party or not, but it was definitely a lot of people there when I got there. It was cool.
There was a lot of people there. It was a lot. I was surprised the number of messages I was getting through the course of the night. People saying, "Man, I should have come. I should have." Kind of. It was good. Tommy Woodbury. It was good to catch up with Tommy for a little while. That's who I was sitting talking to when Jamie came over. I was talking with Tommy and Annette for a little while. And yeah, it was awesome. And everybody survived. Everybody got there safe. Unfortunately, Brandon had some travel problems.
Did Jeremy tell you about his trip up?
His trip up
From his place Friday night?
I don't think so.
I think he said usually it takes him...
Because the roads were so bad?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It takes him like 17 minutes to get from his house to be on 17 or something like that, and it took him 37 that night.
Yeah.
So he called me. He was getting close to Ithaca, and he's like, I stay on 96, right? And I'm like, yep. And he's like, all right. Because usually he'll come up and run 89 all the way up and then across.
Yeah, I don't know,
And
man.
somehow the GPS got him a couple different goofy directions, which it does when I go down there. They'll try to send me to Syracuse to take 81 all the way down instead of going cross lots. And so we were talking, and he's like, yeah. He goes, it's snowing like hell here. He goes, I'm going 20 miles an hour. And I was like, whoa. And I'm like, it's fine here. There's, no snow. And of course, I was still sick, and I hadn't been out. So we're talking. He's like, all right, there's flashing lights. I got to go. And I'm like, all right. So he hangs up, and just as I hang up, I look, and a snowplow goes by the house, and I'm like, Jesus, I hope I didn't lie to him, but it's really shitty out. But then I ended up going down and meeting him later. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I wasn't lying to you, because we didn't get any snow, but it was weird because, holy cow, When 2 weeks ago we
You're
went
old.
down. I am old. We went down to watch a Lions game or a Giants game, and Jeremy got his tickets, and we went down. When we were coming home, he's like, it started snowing at the Broome Tioga Motorplex. When we were coming home, it started snowing the same place. It snowed all the way to Ithaca. He's like, yep, from there to Ithaca. It was weird how it happened for both of us coming back, but it was a little worse for him. He said they were slowed right down to like 20, but we weren't quite that bad.
That hill on 96 coming in and out of Ithaca is awful. I'd always go 89, but either way, you got to go on a north-south road, and it's going to be bad going along because either way, you're going to be hit by that lake. Mm-hmm. Either way.
Yep. And that's the thing. He's like, he said something about the hill coming out, and I said, once you get past that, it's 96 is fair. I mean, there's nothing steep after that. There's just that one big one coming out, but he was concerned about breaking tires loose and then being SOL, but made it all right. So that was good to see.
I remember going to the banquet one year in Owego, and the same thing. GPS sent me down that, and it was a nasty snowstorm. And that whole way down, I was just riding the brakes, and every time I hit the brakes, everything would lock up, and you just slide. There was no. You were stopping at the bottom.
Did you downshift down into the low?
I put it in neutral, just let it coast.
That's a
best
lot
way to
better
do
idea.
it.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot less wear and tear on your drivetrain that way.
Well, Thursday night, we didn't have 31st lap here on Finger Lakes 1. We took Annalu's first Sabres game.
Yep, I saw that.
And that was cool. Sabres played great for the first 9 minutes. It was
unfortunately it wasn't the whole game.
No, it stopped at the first 9 minutes.
Was that a Santa Claus present?
That
or
was it. Nope. That came from his grandfather, from Melissa's dad. So
Very cool.
We went there, and coming home, it was bad till we got about to Batavia, and then going the rest of the way, it was no problem. And Melissa was all anxious about getting home, and my thoughts
to ride with you.
My thoughts were not with getting home, because judging by the forecast and being on 90, the interstate, it's going to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. I was more worried about what we were getting overnight, because at about 11 o'clock that morning, I had to be in Syracuse, where the worst bands were, to pick up Dylan and Rachel and Shane and Jill. And then at 9 o'clock that night, I had to be in Rochester to pick up Zach and Kelsey.
Good thing that wasn't the day that they shut down Rochester Airport.
Yeah. We talked about that. We found out about Rochester being shut down on the way to the Sabres game. Mm-hmm. But everything worked out. We didn't get hardly any weather related issues for the travel there, and was able to get everybody back up to the airport on Sunday. But May Mania. We alluded to this 15 minutes ago. May Mania coming up soon, May the 13th. Looking forward to getting out there to Ogden, Utah. The 20-team format, $35,000 in payout, $5,000 award for the Team Mad Dog, Robbie Layton and Brad Bowman, winning the Made Junk Got Famous award this year. We've got to get that mailed out to those guys after their effort last year. Turn stuff inside out. They're going to be doing it again when we get to May Mania, and then we're going to be seeing Dan Bolton and Paul Cox driving together at that one as well. We talked about Paradise stuff. We've got Winter Slam coming up ahead of everything else on February the 11th, 2017, St. Peter, Minnesota. New home for Winter Slam, $2,000 to win. In the Weld class, Doc 80s are $1,000, trucks are $1,000, compacts are $1,000. Hardest hitter in each class gets $300 and a trophy. Longest toes, $100. Second longest is $75. Best paint is $100. Send your build questions to Randy Maslowski, 507-327-1944, 507-327-1944. If you have entry questions, save them, because it's full. There's no slots available at all. Jeremy Ertman, he can help you out if you have grounds or vendor information, 507-525-4290, 507-525-4290. Jump online. You can find more information on the on Facebook with the specific Winter Slam group page if you need more information along those lines. Approved vendors list. We talked to a couple of them the last 2 weeks with Big Rock and Nerat Sliders, Derby Tees right there at the top. 4 Smash It Demolition Derbies. The Bash for Cash is scheduled for May the 26th through the 28th. Online you can find rules and entry details at smashitderby.com. DEC headers also approved along with CIDS Destroyer Demo Parts, Catskill Fabrication, and Ryan Ostrander, who we got to see over the weekend. Mm-hmm. All his parts were in that raffle car, and he had a ton of stuff on the table. Mike Osterhout picked up a new brake setup, which he's not going to have to worry about fixing that inside the car very, very much, but nonetheless, it'll get the other Mopar that he's got at the house. A little bit of new life. Lead Sled Wheels, Ski Inc., Joker's Parts, and Scott's Derby Tire. Ultimate Derby. This one's knocking on the door as well. About 2 months away from Capital City Carnage. 10,000 to win in the limited weld class, and it backs down by 1,000 all the way to 10th place. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1,000 for 10th place. $5,000 Mad Dog Award. $60,000 in total payout. $200 to enter, and it's a 100-car limit. They're just about full now. If you're trying to get into that and you're thinking about it, drop Candace a line. Candace at ultimatederby.com. Ultimatederby.com has details. Capital City Carnage has its own webpage as well. Throw that into your Google search or your Firefox search. It'll come right up for all of that information. And Candace, on the 21st, has her annual Northwest Iowa Derby Party, which is coming up right around the corner. She's got a ton of cool stuff to raffle off there. So wish her the best. I know we're trying to figure out a way to get to that at some point. I think we're going to maybe back off some of the banquet stuff that we do, not this year, but next year, and try and make it a point to get out there. I think that'd be fun.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Yep.
We don't get to see
lose 2 days in January instead of one.
we don't get to see that crew very often. So it would be nice to go out there and see all those guys.
And Todd Hyde just sent me a picture. I don't know if this is a picture of the coach or if this is a picture of a very angry Kansas City coach. I'm not sure what. Maybe that's who's going to play quarterback. But so I think we hit on everything.
I believe so.
Back here again next week. I don't know who we got lined up for guests, but I know we've got stuff that we need to hit on. We got to talk to the Maslowskis here coming up again soon because they've got their show. By then, it'll be a month away.
Yep.
Then we've got Capital City Carnage. We've got to get with Smash It, talk about all the stuff that's going on for Bash for Cash. It's busy time of year. Everybody who's planning on traveling in the next couple weeks to derbies, hope you stay safe. Hopefully the weather cooperates for all those events and everybody can pull this off and make their arrivals in one piece. I think that's going to do it for this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have everybody along with us for episode number 162. It's in the books. That's going to do it for us here in the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls. We'll see you right back here again next Monday.
The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com. The 2015 Wadena Grand Slam. Full Lockwood Motorsports and the 2015 Keystone Nationals. Scioppa Racing and ScioppaRacing.com. Ultimate Derby and Blizzard Bash 2015. Demo Derby Masters. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel at RecklessAbandonGear.com. And Derby Inc. Magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.